guys, it's Jeanette with our Backroom Creations. I have missed you guys. Last couple weeks have been really busy, but we're here tonight, and I'll show you in just a minute what we're gonna make. Just wait till a couple people come on in. Get my comments up. Not yet. There we are. Alright, so tonight we're gonna make some cookies. Hi, Mary Schneider. How are you? Hi, Diane. Come in, my friends. Hey, Wanda. I've missed you guys, too. I know I've been off for a couple weeks. Listen, girls, they've been working me at lots of hours. Like, they scheduled me almost 50 hours. So, it's been crazy. But we're going to try to get back on our regular schedule. But here's what we're going to make tonight. Chomp chomp. Not really. But there's some Valentine's Day cookies. They are fabric. They're not clay. So this is what we're going to make tonight. We'll set these back here. I'm going to need that in just a minute. Let's see here. Sometimes I think my island's too big, and then some days it's not big enough. So I'm going to bring you guys down a little bit so you can see what exactly I'm doing. I hope everybody had a good holiday. Thank you, Mary and Carol. Okay, so this is just muslin. Now, there are different degrees of muslin. Let me see here. Do I have some of the other? Well, this is a big piece. I want to show you just, I think those are the same. So this is called Ossenberg muslin. It's a little bit more, it's heavier, but it frays easier. And if you're sewing very tight corners or what I want to say, stress points, sometimes this is not the best because it does pull apart easier if you have little small intricate things. Hey, Lori, Happy New Year. Then we have, this is a different Ossenberg. You can see it's lighter. This is from Walmart. It's thinner, and it's very smooth where this has texture. And then I also get this off of Walmart.com through a third party, and it's light, but it has a little brown specks like I like, and it's a little bit thicker than just the regular what you can get in the Walmart stores. I like it all. I bought 80 yards, 20 yards. Hi, Kelly. Happy New Year. Hi, Patty. Hi, Melissa Busby. Happy New Year, everybody. So this just shows you a little bit of how things are different. Like, I only like to make my mittens in the kind either from Walmart or the kind I get from Walmart.com. Just because it's smoother. I like it better. I'll show you an example. Hi, Kelly. This, it's got more texture and it's a little bit thicker. When you paint it, it's more texturized. You can see like the threads and everything. This is a painted Easter egg. But for the mittens, those of you, some of you like Mary has mittens. I don't have any mittens in here done. But It's just a different texture. So when you're getting muslin, know what you're doing. All right. So this is the Walmart.com, and I just traced a heart. You can get all kinds of patterns. Hi, Jolene. I'm glad to see you here as well. Hey, Renee. We have a whole hour together. So I just print off. I have all kinds of different, you can either call them a silhouette or an outline. My outlines are in the hallway. I have some of my stuff on a shelf, so I know where it's at really well. But basically, I just trace it, and this is heat evaporating, not evaporating, disappearing. What do I do with my heat mat? Oh, Lord. Oh, there it is. So I got one of those wool mats. Just got it off Amazon. So these new pens, it just looks like a little pen, but this is for fabric. You gotta get it going. See? It came with refills and 4 colors. It's got like a white if you're doing it on black. Now watch this. Now you see it. Now you don't. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that was our little lesson on muslin. But anyway, I just trace them out. And the numbers that you see, before anybody asks, I'll go ahead and let you know. I number them as I'm tracing them out, so I know how many of things I have left. I have a big long shelf in my hallway that I stack all my stuff that I've sewn on, so I know how many I have left for future orders. People are still buying the Christmas mittens. I cannot believe it, but I even made, oh, I should have grabbed them. I made a Valentine set of the mittens. I thought it's winter, and they're red and pink and white. They're so cute. Lori, I will put them on my page. So if you haven't, go ahead and follow me, and I will put the link on my page. They are amazing. They're called heat erasable fabric marking pens. They come in a little case, and they come with refills. My husband has one of them downstairs already with the refills because he traces a lot of this stuff for me, so I can sew it. But here's what they look like. Let's see if they're a brand. Lange and Koenig, but I'll put the link on the my page. Hi, Pamela. So after you trace it, some people will leave a little gap in the sewing, and they'll stuff it, and then they gotta sew this gap. I prefer to sew all the way around my shape so it's nice and neat, and then on the back we'll cut a slit. These are already coffee grunged, but I'll cut a slit, and then I stuff it and I sew it back up. Now these are cookies, so you don't want to stuff them too much, or it'll make it look like you put too much baking powder in it. So, okay, so we'll get to those in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these. We'll do a couple at a time. So after I sew I sew right on the line. I don't cut mine out and then sew them, because if you have like little arms or anything, it's a lot harder to sew something that's cut than it is to sew on a line and then you cut around. Try it. I swear by it. But we're going to take the ink off of these real quick. And it literally disappears like lippity slip. I have tried a lot of marking pens. The ones like you buy, the Mark Beyond, you can buy them at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, wherever. They dry up. Like if you're marking a lot at a time, they don't allow you to use them a bunch. So we'll use that. For those of you that just popped in, here's what we're making tonight. Some Faux Valentine's Day cookies. And we need, so this is my muslin, and we have sewn it around, and we're going to cut those out. And I've been rearranging everything. Hi, Gail. Hey, Lavada, how are you? So here's how I cut mine out. Now, hearts are pretty easy because you don't have any like little nooks and crannies. So I will I usually leave my ink on there while I do this just because I can see it a lot better. We'll have a little bit of stress. We'll have to make a stress cut there. If you don't know what one is, I'll show you just a second. So then I just cut it out. And then we're going to take, now if you want to cut them with pinking scissors, I cut some things with pinking scissors. It just depends on what it is. Homespun, I will usually cut with pinking shears just because it's a loose weave and you don't want your seam to come undone. So when you have a stress relief, something that goes in, not out, not rounded, but down in. When I turn this right side out, it'll want to pucker right there. So I use these Fisker scissors, the ones that have a spring, makes it nice for when you've got to do relief cuts. And I cut as close to the seam as I can. Yes, I have cut to the seam before and was very mad, but it is what it is. But these are muslins. Muslin, you can usually get it for anywhere between $3 to $5 a yard. If you buy the 2-yard pre-cut pack at Walmart, it's like $3.31. No, right around $3 a yard. The stuff here that I buy from Walmart.com comes in a bolt. Well, hi, Joe Helen. Welcome. My name is Jeanette. Did you sew around twice? Nope, just once. Now, if I was using the Awesomeberg muslin, I would have sewed around twice. But it just depends on what kind of pattern I'm doing. Like I said, if I have stress little arms and things or around necks, I didn't do a sewing tonight just because we wouldn't be at the sewing machine that much and I needed more room to paint. But everybody, welcome in, Joe Helen. We're glad that you are here. So I'm going to cut right up next to the seam. All right, so here's how I have cut through both layers before. Hi, Anita, Happy New Year. But I take a very sharp pair of scissors. You can see those have a real sharp point, and I literally just grab it. And then I slide here. I always put my finger on the back so I can tell whether I'm poking through. And how big my slit is depends on what I'm pulling through. Like I said, if you want to leave an opening on the side and then have to sew your side shut, that's totally up to you. I prefer to do it this way so the seams on the side are perfect. Yeah, they do. And if you get it, oh, here, I'll show you just a minute here. If you get too much stuffing, because you know my husband helps me stuff some of my stuff. He helps me stuff some things. Let me see if I have any hearts out and about. Yeah. So I keep everything in these 2.5 gallon bags. You can get them at Dollar Tree, or you can get the Hefty brand from Walmart. So here's one that we have stuffed, and I've sewn the back. If I think it's a little too fluffy, I put, you know, the polyester batting is in here. What does polyester batting do when you put heat to it? It melts. So if I feel it's a little too fluffy, hey Roz, Happy New Year. And you can't tell a whole lot. I could get my Cricut press, but it'll flatten them a little bit. Okay. So these are, he stuffs his, well, in the beginning when he was stuffing things, he wasn't putting enough stuffing in there, and that was the mittens, and I'm like, no, you guys stuff those things big time. So you see, those are about the same. These are what we're making. So you can flatten them out. I kind of like to do that just, I don't know, just to make like it all even and stuff. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I like to have hemostats. I have a big pair and I have a small pair. These are very, very nice for like doll arms and things like that. Except for they're a lot more pointed. And I have poked through, especially on Awesomeberg. These are real nice for like my bowl fillers and stuff. So here we've done the slit, and we're just going to pull it through kind of sloppily. So I like these are from Harbor Freight. So it makes sure, if you don't want, if you're afraid to poke through, just use a big pair. Thank you, Glenda. Now if you want to get it really, really pointy, you can try to use the pointed ones without poking through. Sometimes you can stick them in the end and like pull that point out. I'm not gonna press my luck. So that's how we flip it out. Now if you want to sew it flat, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Kind of just depends. But so you don't want to make that extra around outside the seam too wide, or else you'll get bulkiness after you flip it. And then you're going to grab some stuffing. Ooh, I did step on something. Yes, I'm barefooted. Okay, these are just pillows, guys. Walmart, cheapy, $3.44 pillows. Don't buy that poly-fil. It's the same thing, guys. So I like to use these when I need to take stuffing and get down here in the corner. You can usually take your finger on rounded sides. Now I like to pull mine apart to make it fluffier, I guess, if you want to call it that. Does anybody here like to sew? I hadn't sewn in years. And I think Tracy and I started sewing again about the same time. And I forgot how much I love it. So like I said, about that, you know, probably not even quite an inch. I keep my stuff in a big hamper. Happy New Year, Karen! Okay, so here's where you're going to want to try to get as much of the stuffing inside. And I've already threaded some thread. Now here's how I sew mine. You're going to get some of that stuffing out. Then I just take my heat tool and it kind of melts it away. So I start on the end. Okay. Now I'm right-handed, so I like to go right to left. And if you know what the ladder stitch is, you do, Lori? Awesome. I've sewn since I was like 9 or 10 years old, but I hadn't done it for quite some time. Alright, so I'm down here at the end. Hope you can see this. So we're literally going to go back and forth. I should have done, one night I'll do this on like black and white so you can see it. So we're going to take little bits of fabric. Let me do a couple and then I'll show you. And the reason it's called a ladder stitch will become very apparent here in just a second. You see the little stitches back and forth? For some reason when I stand, I gotta put my foot on something. So I just hold this flat. And I'll do, depending on how, oh, see there, that one, pulled the threads. You sew and quilt, Diane? Awesome. So I'll do about a third or a half, and I'll put my finger on it so it doesn't pull the fabric. And then it's a very neat, ladder stitch to close your seam. And when you're painting your projects, it almost like solidifies that seam, and so it ain't coming undone. I'll sit and watch a movie. I'll get a bunch of stuff sewn together and Floyd will stuff it for me. And then I can sit and watch something. Sit and watch YouTube or Facebook. Oops. So you don't want to have the stitches go underneath. Not till the very, very end. Hey, Deanne. So we're almost to the end. Okay. Okay. So we're at the end. You see those? Then, like I said, I'll hold it. Then there's your seam. It's not quite as neat as I like, but it's pretty good. And then I'll just do a couple small stitches to lock it up. If you put your finger on it to control how the thread goes through the fabric, see, if you go like this, it's going to get undone. So I just do it, try to get it smaller. Oops. And that way you don't have any loops. Sometimes you get those loops that stick up. And there we go. Easy peasy. Thank you for the stars, friend. So there. And then I coffee stain them. Okay. So we will bring this over here. Okay. So through trial and error, and you can see on these, the little dark spots, I actually had to go back and do another layer of the baking soda and paint because it soaked up the coffee stain. So I will do just a base layer now of paint, and we'll dry it, and then we'll go back through and do our we're going to do baking soda and paint. Happy New Year! I'm doing all right. Ouch, I burnt myself earlier. But anyway, okay, so we're going to, now tonight I'm just using regular acrylic paint. We're using Princess Pink and Antique Parchment and Candy Apple. Those are my... Now, if you wanted to go back over and if you wanted to add some brown to it or coffee stain over it, do it before you add your diamond dust, because it'll turn into diamond dust. Hey, Patty, how are you? Happy New Year. So we're going to see if I got a small brush out here. All right, so first we're just going to put a layer of paint. And I'm going to go about a 1/2 inch from the sides. If you need to measure it, go right ahead. I just eyeball it. But this will help the coffee stain not pull up through your icing. Depending on, if you do a lot of heavy coffee stain, it might still a little bit. Of course, it depends on how thick your quote-unquote icing is. Or you could use a heavier chalk paint. It's up to you. So I like to get my perimeter done. Before I start filling in. Now, like, I do my stuff in batches, so I would paint this and then I would just let it air dry, but it's acrylic paint, so it's not going to take too long. Ooh, globby globby. I'll take the excess and just kind of dot it in the middle. We had a very quiet holidays. I had to work New Year's Day. We were actually busier than I thought we would be. I've never seen a bunch of people, we had a bunch of new people that they're starting their plans for the new year. and just had the day off. I wanted to make sure everything was set up for the year. So we weren't as busy as a normal day, but we were a little busy. Towards the end of the day, I'd have quite a few minutes between calls. So I did some reading up on stuff. So like I said, if you need to use a little ruler or something, I just kind of eyeball it. Works out pretty well. So we'll let that dry. And then we'll do this one in red. Candy apple. Now, if you don't want it bright red, for tonight, I'm just going to leave it bright red. But you could add some little bit of brown in there. If you thought maybe it was a little bright. It is bright. It's candy apple. I, for some reason, like the bright color against the coffee stained fabric. I don't know. I like it. I don't know why I like it. I just like it. So, as we say in our household, you do you, boo-boo. Hi, Carol. How are you? Let's move this one out of the way so I don't stick my hand in it. If you wanted to, if it doesn't look like it's thick enough that it still might pull that coffee stain through, you can put a couple coats on there. Or if you want to use like a primer, like, or chalk paint would be thicker. And you could also just leave them like that. You don't have to do the puffy baking soda. You could just paint them and say, voila, ta-da. Maybe put a couple coats of it on there. You're buried in snow? Where are you at, Carol? And how much snow do you have? We have... yesterday the roads still had quite a bit of snow on them, and I live on a state route that goes out of town. My son was out. He has taken care of this elderly, they're older now, because he's done it for probably 18 years, because we've been here almost 20. This older couple, when he was a teenager, he started shoveling their snow. You know, he would go out with his shovel and walk around and see whose driveways needed. And he's in his 30s now. And he still takes care of their yard. He goes over, they're quite older now. He goes out and puts out their trash for them. He's put furniture together this summer for her. Happy New Year, Bonnie! So it's been a nice relationship. I'll ask him to come over and do something. He goes, I gotta go to, the other house first. I said, all right. He's off for, I think, 4 days. So he was out, even in his 30s, he was out shoveling snow. He came over and did ours for us. Oh, wow. I would say we probably got 7 or 8 inches over the course of a couple days, and some ice. Okay, so now we'll do one more and we'll do the cream or the antique parchment. Oh, thank you. Well, it's us, he just comes over to do it, but for them, it's like a little side job for him. Need a little paint brush. Let's see here. Little. Okay. This one's a little bit puffier than I want, so if you're just popping on, these are stuffed with poly-fil from a pillow, and if they're too fluffy, oop, I did the little imprint of my iron. You can get them down a little bit by putting that iron on it. It'll melt the polyester. That doesn't work with cotton batting, only with polyester. So like I said, you could just leave these as is, or you could sprinkle some iridescent glitter on it right after you paint it. And call it a day, but I'm ready for spring too. But we'll have time to do 1 or 2 cookies. This is just like a base coat. And my son came over to print something out on the printer. And he's like, "Are you at lunch?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Well, aren't you work today?" And I'm like, "No, it's Friday." He's like, "Oh, I'm off on Fridays." Tell you what, this cold weather, ugh. I know what my grandma went through with her arthritis now. Hey, Darla, you're fine. Now, if you were just going to do this and not because we're just considering this a primer coat, you'd probably want to put 2 coats on it. Before you called it a day. I'm waiting for me to start sticking my tongue out. Oh, thank you, Darla. Here's what they look like when you're done. They got poofy icing on them. We'll do that in just a minute. This is just the base coat. Because we got an hour tonight. We still got 20-some minutes, so we're doing good. Now, tomorrow, and I think it's Monday, we're doing a benefit live for Sweet Chad and Esmeralda Peck. Esmeralda's from Lovett's Garden. Chad just got a major surgery, a transplant. So, and they're self-employed. You know, you think your life stinks until you read about somebody else going through what they're doing. You know, they thought they'd get to go home and he had to stay in the hospital some more, and you just appreciate what you got, however little. People used to ask me at work, "How you doing today, Jeanette?" I said, "Well, I woke up on the right side of the green, so I guess that's something." I think my dad used to say that. I don't know where I got it from. Okay. So here's our 3 with just paint. Carol, they're on my Etsy. If Floyd, if you're listing, if you'll go to the Etsy page and post the link. They do come in a set of 6. I forget how much they are. Okay. So let's put a little heat on these. Just to get that dry. Because we're doing this so the coffee grunge doesn't come up through our icing. Hi, Miss Sheila, sweet friend. Thank you. I am in Ohio. It was about 18 degrees here this morning. I think it got up into low 20s. Okay. The colors are just out of regular acrylic paint. So we have antique parchment, candy apple, and princess pink. And of course you can adjust your colors if you want a darker one or what. Happy New Year, sweet friend. I know I've been like MIA. Let's see here. Let's put these in the water for now. Let's work on our pink. So what we're going to do is, unfortunately it does take quite a... Oh, Michelle, you just had to put that in there. How rude. Okay, so I put a good amount of paint on my plate. And then this is just straight baking soda. Now I did run it through a sieve or a sifter, one of those little metal ones. And I'll usually just do it with my paintbrush. But it becomes super thick, which is what we want. I tried to read to see if you could mix it up like in batches. I wouldn't suggest it. Just do it as you need it. So, I think there's a globber knobber in there. We'll scoot that over to the edge. Oh, there it is. Globber knobbers. Okay, so there's our icing. Maybe a little bit thicker. It's not too bad. You got up to 70 today. Oh, I'd be happy with 35 to 40. I'd be happy with all winter. So here's how thick that is. Like, it doesn't come off your brush unless you have to really, move your brush around. Okay? Cheryl! So here we're going to go back. We're just going to pounce it on. Make sure if you use one of your paint brushes that you like to use, that you rinse it out right away. Now usually I will kind of like pounce and paint at the same time. And then if it gets too smooth, because this is our icing now, so you want it to be bumpy. It's always hot down there, Cheryl. You guys can have that muggy heat. So if your icing is too runny, you won't get the stiff little... You won't get the icing to form like it's like you've iced a cookie. Listen, I've seen some really pretty cookies on Etsy, for Valentine's Day. I could never do that stuff. The artsy, I call them artsy smarties, sugar cookies. No, not me. Now you can see on the edge there, See how it's a little bit darker? You wore sweaters to dinner? Who was in shorts and flip-flops? I don't want to hear it. I go around with a little heater. My feet get so cold. I used to be the hottest person in the world. I couldn't cover my feet up, and now I'm like, where's my slippers? Sometimes I'll even sleep in socks, which I never used to do. Now, I do cake this on pretty good, so it will take a couple days to dry real good. So it just depends on how thick you want your icing. I will make sure I get to the edge where my first coat of paint was. I don't want it to look like it was 2 layers. And as it dries, you can come back with your paintbrush and do some little stippling. Don't get too crazy, you'll go outside your lines. And then, while it's wet, you could use like iridescent glitter. Thank you. It was 70 there, Roz. I know, it rained on Christmas Day. We're going to take, this is diamond dust. Now you won't see it too much right here, but oh, look at the sparkle. And there's your sugar cookie. Isn't that awesome? Okay, we're going to set this over here. Let's do our red one. And then I don't save this. Oop, there's our globber knobber anyway. If I was going to put another coat on it later maybe or something, but I don't save it. Okay, so where's the red? Here it is. We need a lot more paint than that. It does take quite a bit of paint, but looks like your grandma's, thank you, your grandma's cookies. My grandma, does she make sugar cookies? She didn't really make sugar cookies. She was more of a fudge and divinity. Listen, I haven't had good divinity in like years. I might have to add some more paint. You could add, if you get it too thick, you could add a little bit of water or you can add some more paint. I don't think I got enough paint on there anyway. No, Darla, they're made out of fabric. I made these. I cut them out. It's muslin. I sewed them. I stuffed them. The first part, we did that. So you'll have to go watch the replay. I know I love diamond dust. Except for when I get it on the floor because I come in here barefooted and it hurts. So you could add a little bit of water. I'm just going to add a little bit more paint. Because I don't want water to thin it out too much. You could probably use a little plastic knife, you know, like an artist knife. Oh, thank you, Darla. So we'll take these here. Remember, we're just going to glob it on there and just kind of pounce it. But you do want to get it to the edge, or you'll be able to tell that you did a base coat. We don't want to be able to tell. We just don't want that coffee stain to come up through our paint, because it did on mine the first time. So you might have to like paint it on first. and then do your little pouncy thing. Floyd must not be. Yeah. I don't always do the easiest things. There is a lot of steps into a lot of the things I make, because I sew them, then I stuff them, then I have to sew up the hole in the back. So I will be on tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern Time for the fundraiser for Esmeralda and Chad. So I will auction off my project at the end. Shipping's on me. We're doing it to raise money for Esmeralda and Chad, who just got a transplant. I think it's liver, right? Now, if you get too much on one spot, just kind of smush it around. The first set I sealed with, well, I sealed the icing and then with Mod Podge, and then I sprinkled the glitter on it. I didn't like how it looked, so the other sets, I just did like a clear spray, like the triple thick. I use it a lot. I just lightly misted them, but other than that, because I don't want it to I don't want it to shine on it or anything. Making the right amount of icing is hard. Of course, I do my stuff in batches. Kidneys, that's right, Dee Dee, thank you. You know, I've never had a family member have to go through that. You know, a close family member. But I can't even imagine. And they are self-employed, so, you know, we want to help them out. Tracy will have the link for us tomorrow. So even if you don't want to buy anything, you know, $1 from 100 people makes it look, you know, anything anybody could give, I'm sure will be much appreciated. There's a red one. My grandpa died of cirrhosis from the liver. But that was because he drank too much. See here, red, pink, white. Looks like we're kneading dough. Yeah, I could show you. Right. Here's what we're making. These are little sugar cookies. They're made out of fabric instead of clay, and that's real hard. So this is baking soda that I'm mixing in the paint, and then it dries real hard. So we're making icing. Yeah. I'm sure that they will be back the second that they can. We will miss them. Okay, we got about 5 minutes. Yes, Roz, it's baking soda. Now, I did put it through a sifter just so there wasn't any clumps or anything in it. Oops, I just stuck my end down in there. Look at that. I'll have to coffee stain that tip. But they are on my Etsy. Well, they're on my website. If you go to ourbackroomcreations.com, and then you have to go to our OBC Rustic Haven. So we basically have a landing page to all of our Etsys. We had a Shopify, but it didn't do as well as the Etsy, because, you know, your Shopify, you got to bring your own traffic. So it was a lot to manage both of them. So, you know, because we work still. Oh, okay, Vicki. I'll show you real quick. So the little Cupid doll is what we're making tomorrow for the auction for Esmeralda and Chad. I think I have it. I've got it laid out to where, you know, because I only get 45 minutes. I think I've prepped it enough that we can get her finished. Thank you. Floyd was like, don't make too much Valentine's. People don't decorate too much for Valentine's. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So you can leave it dry a little bit. Now, if you're going to be around where you can keep an eye on it, you can let it stiffen up a little bit before you put your diamond dust or your glitter on it. You know, you could use, if you don't have diamond dust, you could use iridescent glitter. I got a set of these at Goodwill one day, and I'm like, I don't know, I'll use them for something. So here's our cream one. I'll have to coffee stain the tip again. Here's our red one. Always put the cream one in the middle. So here's the 3 we made tonight. Yes, Aldine, I'm on tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern time. 8:30 Eastern. So here's my sugar cookies. I love them because they're made out of clay instead, or not made out of clay. Can you buy them not painted? I thought about it. If somebody asked me, I could put them on there. Like I did the witch hat and stuff. I can just sew them for you. So I can do that as an option for you, Carol. Thank you. I know they look good, don't they? Alright, guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me tonight. And I'll try not to disappear on you. Jody, we're going to do it tomorrow on the fundraiser. I haven't done one yet, but we'll just do it tomorrow. Oh, there's Floyd. Alright, guys. I will put the link for the fabric markers, fabric pens, on my Facebook page. And you... Okay, so you want to set not painted, Carol? Alright. Okie dokie. I will do that for you guys. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out. And I will not disappear again like that for a couple weeks. Alright, Vicky. Okay, guys. Thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Night.